Hello, the following video is a recording of the 4th Artist Feedback AMA session held within MetaJungle Discord on January 2nd. One of the goals of MetaJungle is to provide free resources for NFT artists to be able to learn and grow together. And these AMA sessions are a great time where artists are able to request and receive honest feedback from experienced artists in the space. So we hope that you find all of this information very valuable. This particular session was hosted by active MetaJungle members and experienced photographers, Dan Hawk and Mike Schmidt. So we hope that you're able to enjoy this session, but also we hope that you're able to join us in the MetaJungle community. Feel free to join us at metajunglediscord.io. Now let's get to the video.
Okay, cool. So I wanted to start off with this co-worker project by Gezer947. I've been admiring this project for a long time, actually. I think he's such a great photographer. Let's read over the artist statement first. I saw a couple of things in the artist statement. So I took co-workers photo project. It was amazing to meet with them outside of Istanbul, which was a rural area. As we know that many workers working in coal production with their family doing harsh conditions, they have to do this difficult job in their life because they don't have any different opportunities. Workers work together as a family. This photography project, which lasted 6 years between 2008 and 2014, documents the hard lives of coal workers. I'm really excited to share with you this outstanding project. I just wonder what you think or feel about my project. So I don't think you need the last line in there. I just wonder what you think or feel about my project. I mean, it's your project, so you're putting it out there. So because the viewer can interpret that without you having to tell them that. It seems like a little less confident to put that in there. And I also don't know exactly about telling saying that the project lasted 6 years. I'd personally leave out between 2008 and 2014 just because it looks like a long time ago that you've made the project. And I just think it's superfluous information that people don't need to know. But if we go into the pictures, I noticed this really interesting theme, really beautiful theme of these coal workers. A lot of beautiful silhouettes and smoke and really gorgeous light that you work with. You noticing the same, Dan?
Definitely. Yeah, there's definitely a thematic vibe going here.
Yeah, for sure. So I think a lot of stronger stuff for me is actually the silhouetted moments, or these moments of solitude with the workers where they're just like taking a break between. This photo, it's one of my favorite. I really love this one. So beautiful. Like just the way he's standing, the light shining through. Everything has this sort of leading direction to the right side of the frame. Super beautifully composed. The shadows down here. You're really, really good at understanding light and composition. That's clear. I kind of put a little folder together of the ones that I thought really stood out to me. Let's see, things are here. And it was a lot of these sort of silhouetted, directional, light, really beautiful display of these workers. I really love this shot so much. And I can't really get much better silhouette than that. That's a great one too. It looks like he's taking a shot at work or something, like a shot of whiskey or something. I don't know what it is, but it's such a good photograph. Beautiful hair, especially I got that in the background. There's this woman. She's got her head down. It's like she's just coming through the light and washing her hands. Love this little momentary break with the axe right in the wood here, and he's got his head. Look at the hand placement. The hand looks exactly like the axe, right? Like the steel of the axe. Like it's just some things that some photographers see, and I don't even know if they notice that they're seeing it. They just subconsciously see these beautiful patterns. But The great one, this guy's just like working right out of the mist of all this perfect colored shirt and everything, and you have this going on up here with this beautiful light. So I love these are the photos that really stand out to me as these sort of silhouetted shots. I do like the portraits a lot too because they have a lot of emotion. Um, it's just this portrait I think is edited very well. There's a few of the other portraits that seem a little over edited for me. Like they almost feel like you're bumping the clarity a bit too high, and it's almost cartoonish to me. So I didn't include it in the ones that really stood out to me. Although I do think that the expressions and the dirt and everything is just really, really quite beautiful. Dan, do you have anything to say about any of that?
You know, I think you're spot on there. For me, when I look at these, the thematic elements that stand out. I mean, obviously, it's all about charcoal workers, right? But I also feel like the smoke and the mist and the light rays, that is so consistent, and I almost feel like some of the portraits that don't have that, they kind of stick out as like they don't really fit. And I like really specifically, and I'm guessing it's number one for a reason, but number one to me doesn't. I feel like that's kind of an oddball in this collection.
This shot right here.
Yeah.
It's interesting that I was just had that pulled up as you were talking about it. Yeah, it doesn't quite feel like it belongs in the collection.
Right. And I also understand that there's some level of wanting to show all these different elements, because there's also like number 16 is a woman with a blue and white head covering. And while I understand the context and I look at this and I go, okay, this makes sense, something about it also doesn't work for me. And it's mainly because I've already seen all the charcoal sticks. That's something that's common to all of these. We've seen it a lot, and then this one it's a little bit flat to me.
Yeah,
which is weird because I think sometimes we encourage people to not have too many photos that look the same, but in this case, the light rays and the smoke, that is kind of the thing that carries the whole thing.
It's so powerful that it makes the other images.
That one with the throwing of the barrel you just passed over, to me, that might be one of my favorites in the whole collection.
Yeah, I didn't even notice the hands over here too, like ready to catch the barrel. Like your compositions are just like your timing, compositions, your ability to feel life. Really incredible that he's such a environmental, like he's so good at capturing these environmental scenes when the people aren't paying attention.
That one with the ladder.
Yeah, I love that one. This one here.
Yeah.
That when the people are paying attention, I don't know that they're. I mean, well, to me, they're not as strong as the ones where it's just supremely candid like this. Like, just look at the. I mean, I see like the geometry. Like, I see like there's like a V shape here, right? And it's just everything just sort of comes together with the compositions here. I mean, this whole right side of the frame is a photo in itself. And this left side of the frame is a photo in itself. And he's created two photos out of one photo, has geometry over here that matches the haystack geometry here. Superb photography, just one of those cases where, like, I think less is more. And, maybe, maybe the 6 that I picked is not the exact 6. I'm sure it isn't. The one with the barrel that was being thrown is a great one in there too. Like, but I think there's a way to maybe it's 10 or 15, but so this is 40. This says 41 items. So I think you have a lot to cut down for. I mean, that's up to you. Obviously, this is all this is all personal preference, and this is just our opinion. But this also says here that there's 60 photos in total. So you should edit this first to say 41 if there's only 41. And I will reach out to you and help you with the artist statement, just because, like, I understand what you're saying, and it's beautiful what you're saying, but I think you need a little bit of help with the English portion of it, which makes sense because it's not your native speaking language. But really, really solid work. I don't know if the artist wants to talk or if anyone else has anything they want to say.
I think Geezer, Geezer 947. You're here in the room and you're unmuted, so we'd love to hear from you if you've got something to. Maybe not.
It's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah. Wow, this is beautiful.
I what's interesting to me is that you kind of zeroed in on that one, because I was going to say, I think that this one, while it's really beautiful, I don't know that it fits the Charcoal Workers collection. I think this would be an interesting one of one sort of
on foundation.
Yeah, it doesn't have context to me.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And that doesn't mean it's not beautiful, because it's one of the most beautiful photos you've got here. However, I don't know that I would necessarily include it in with these. Yeah,
it just might belong in a different series, that's all.
Right.
Love these. Cool. Well, I think we can move on to the next artist if he doesn't have anything.
Yeah, I love it. And let me back up and say one thing. As you're culling these, I think one of the really great things to think about, and this is kind of how I do things, is I don't cull them when I'm in OpenSea. Like once they're already loaded up, I don't. Yeah, hopefully I load them up the right way without having to delete stuff after the fact. What I do is in Lightroom, I just go through and I start to color code or pick and add flags to them. And I think one of the things you can do is even ask yourself, what is happening in the photo here? Because I think if you've got a photo of somebody raking in the mist, okay, that's great. Now remember that every other photo of somebody raking in the mist is a potential duplicate, right? And if you think about that, then you can pick your absolute best version of that photo. Or if it's somebody throwing charcoal, like number 20, or you have like number 41 and number 35 are right next to each other in the way I'm looking at it on my screen.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both a guy walking carrying an axe. Slightly different viewpoints, but I just feel like it's the kind of thing where if you thought about like maybe one of those doesn't belong here, maybe one of them is a much stronger version.
Yeah, and it's also color relationships too. Like maybe there's too many. Maybe there's a few of the same that have that orange tone, and then there's an axe one that has this this misted white, and
To me, I think my favorite photo in the entire series is number 10, which is one you picked out. It's the woman with that beautiful golden backlit.
Yeah, this is gorgeous.
And this one, gosh, this almost stands on its own. It's just like, this is the story. Something about this. It's super powerful. There's a whole bunch of what's happening. You can see the charcoal. You can see the water. You've got the smoke. You've got a person in the background. This one works on so many levels. I would maybe lean into that as like your primary photo for the entire collection.
Yeah, I really liked this one as far as a sun rays type photo goes too. I love the three of them.
Yeah, that's great too.
Yeah, it's just like raining light. Wild. Cool.
I love it. Well, let's move on. I think you're right.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So next I had, let's see, the camera does not matter. This is by Bombay, and he has two collections, so we're going to look at both of them here. Why don't we look at the foundation first? Dan, can you tell me what the questions were from this photographer?
Yeah. Okay, so Bombay Malayali. I hope I'm getting that right. Malayali. Look like Anand is the artist's name.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So looks like he's based in Mumbai and was looking for feedback. He had number 1 had a recent sale from Barat on Foundation and 2 unsold photos there. One of them is a CC0 licensing. Would it be a good idea to mint another photo on Foundation before the year ends? Well, that's already passed. Or should I wait until the existing pieces get sold out? So that's the questions about the Foundation stuff.
Yeah, I mean, one of ones. If it's a one of one, somebody has a lot of background noise. Oh, hold on, that's gone now. Maybe not. So one of ones, I don't really think that you have to sell out all of them before you mint new ones. There's something about one of ones that I don't see flooding your own market. When it comes to collections, I do feel that way though. So like if you wanted to mint some new one of ones, I don't think that's a bad idea. I mean, one thing I really notice about your Foundation is it has this sort of inconsistency where it feels like it's a bunch of different photographers almost. Like the work feels like it's from, like you have something up here, it feels like it's like almost from a different series each one. But this one was really strong. I mean, it's sold, right? It's just out of control. How many flamingos that is in one space? Jeez.
I like it. That's great.
Yeah, I love it. It's crazy. And then looks like this one here sold too. Oh, like really interesting abstract. Almost doesn't even look like a photo.
Yeah, and then the top row canal houses is also sold.
Yeah, and I really like this one too.
Yeah, really beautiful.
It reminds me of like The Nightmare Before Christmas or something. It has this like weird, these elongated, strange buildings and the colors on them. I don't know if it's not spooky. It's like it's almost spooky in a fun sort of way, but the colors are just absolutely beautiful. The reflection, great photograph. And then when I go to something like this next to it, which see the price difference. So half an ETH here, and then 0.40 here. Like so, on the flamingo picture, you're charging less. So then I look at this here, and this just didn't seem like a very strong image to me personally, especially compared to some of the other ones that you have already sold. So I just feel that there's just this inconsistency sort of in your own selection of what you might find to be your best work. Do you have anything on this, Dan? This one?
When I look at these, this collection, not collection, but this group of one of ones, it's obvious to me there are some solid ones. The canal houses is to me by far the most, I don't know, the most well executed of these, and I love it. I think it's great. I was literally looking to go, I wonder if Crip Barat would be willing to sell it, but probably not. And then I really like the other ones. I think that one, and I can't even pronounce that, Halaz Bastia, Fisherman's Bastion, I don't feel like it is of the same quality work as the rest of the pieces here.
I don't feel that way about this one gold either.
What's interesting is the gold is a really interesting photo, but it's you're right. It's not
quite far away though. It's quite like the subject matter is really far away. We have a lot of negative space that I don't really understand. Whereas, I mean, it almost seems like these two are, snapshots, and like this here is like your fine art. Like you're really like, you're setting up for it. You're scouting it out. Like this seems like it's particular to that too. It doesn't seem like a snapshot. It feels like really fine art,
right?
Highly executed. Your depth of field is on point. And then let's take a look at what he has on.
Well, and before we move on,
sure.
I just wanted to say I think the question of what you meant, Mike already answered that. When you're talking about collections, that's where you want to be kind of careful. You don't mint new collections if you've got stuff that's unsold. And I'm just going to raise my hand and say, if you go look at my stuff, I am a lesson in what not to do. I have way too much stuff, and I've been going through and culling it myself for that very reason. But when it comes to Foundation and one-on-ones, I think that you should, release the work as these are one-of-ones. Release them as you are ready to. And the only thing to think about as you sell or don't sell is how do you price them? That's kind of the thing to look at. And the one thing I would look at here is you've got 0.4, you've got 0.15, 0.6, 0.5, 0.75, and then you have one list.
2 ETH.
Yeah. And to me, as much as I think that's, it's not I think it's an interesting photo. It might have some significance to you. And when I look through here, I see there is a story there because this tree doesn't exist anymore. It snapped off, right? I don't know that would necessarily give it that kind of a value, but I also know that you have to make value decisions and pricing decisions on your own. So I would just say that you have to tell the story of this one in order to command that kind of a price. And you got to tell it in spaces and with collectors. And I'm guessing the right person might love it, and buy it. But that would be my advice on pricing and listing ones.
Yeah, that's really well thought. It's really well said. Like the right person is going to want to collect something that has a story like that, because then it makes it even more rare to them, because now no one can even re-photograph the tree or the location or something. But if I'm just looking at it on here, it's just like a casual person scrolling around on Foundation. I don't know why this is 2 ETH and this is 0.40.
And I've been hearing that a lot. I've been hearing a lot of collectors say, I don't care about what it says. But then I hear other collectors say, I absolutely care about what it says. So take what we say with a grain of salt. But just know that having it there and telling that story might be what you need to find the right collector.
He has a series on OpenSea as well. The camera doesn't even matter. So there's 4 owners actually. As a photographer for more than 14 years, one of the questions I get asked a lot is which camera one should buy. The answer is any camera. A camera is only a device that helps in showing the world what the photographer sees. This is a body of work available as one-of-one photos, shot and edited entirely on a mobile phone. More items coming soon.
That staircase looks a little familiar.
Yeah, staircase looks very familiar. Like I don't know if it's the same one, just in black and white, or it's just a different shot. Well, I think you said something in here. I mean, it's interesting, right? I say this to people all the time too. They ask me what camera is the best camera, and the one that you have on you, right? It's just a tool, right? It's like really the photographer's mind's eye that's creating the images. But just because you've created all of these with a mobile phone doesn't make this a cohesive series because it's shot with a mobile phone. This is a very different story you're telling here, and this is an actual collection. Or, well, I mean, maybe you don't mean for it to be a collection because it's on OpenSea and it has to be, but collectors are going to look at this as a collection. And so while I really enjoy this foggy morning, this shot, really interesting to me. It's like really dynamic and dark, and you have lighting in the right areas, and you have lines in the right areas. The composition is beautiful. I don't know how something like this, which looks like more like an aerial shot of beach and sand, fits. It's not shot on drone. I also don't think that that's a compelling title either. Like, I think you could come up with something better than shot on drone.
Your thoughts are pretty much the same as mine on this one, Mike. While I can see that you've had some success at selling a few of these pieces, I think that's great. I have wrestled with the same thing here, feeling like I think OpenSea makes it almost too easy to make collections, or they kind of force you to make collections. And perhaps what could work is that this could be a place where you put these and you just call them one-of-ones and say this is the place where they live because they have to live in collections on OpenSea, and maybe just be really clear. Like I actually don't dislike the title of the collection, but I think it might make more sense to say this is maybe I know collections is what they call them, but maybe say this, a group of one-of-one images with a common theme that they were all made with mobile phone.
Yeah.
I just don't know that there is not a common theme aside from the device you use. Like I wouldn't even guess these were all from the same photographer.
Exactly. So, I mean, even in that case, if you call this one-of-one collection, it's still I still want to know, like, when I see an image, like, I know Bombay shot that. I can feel Bombay shot this, but it's very hard to do that with something like this, this beach scene, and then this spiral staircase, and these moodier images, which I prefer more in the same series here. And are they all priced the same? Yeah, 0.2. And is he here? Could we ask how the success, like how'd you go about marketing, getting sales, and any thoughts on any of the stuff that we said? If you'd like to chime in, can you unmute the artist?
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for the feedback. I really appreciate it. Sorry, what was the question again? How do I go about marketing this collection?
So first of all, before we even talk about that, anything that you got from the feedback that we gave that stood out to you?
Absolutely. On the foundation page, I think one of the feedbacks that you mentioned was that the set of photos that I've already minted on foundation almost looks as if they are from different photographers, that it doesn't follow like a common theme. And of course, some photos stand out and are lower priced than the ones that do not really stand out and which are higher priced. Like, for example, you mentioned the Fisherman's Bastion and gold, for example. I think that's really interesting, and I think I need to sort of go back and think about what I want to do about those, or even think about how I want to go about it when I think of minting new ones. I think that's something to think about.
I think that everyone really needs to think a lot. Like, I've made mistakes, like, before we put anything into the blockchain, because, like, once we do it, we've got to pay money to undo that. And it's like, not all of us have that. So it's like, I'm trying to now, like, really try to be methodical about anything that I decide to mint. And I'm sure you're doing the same, Dan, just from, our own mistakes there, and costing us ETH and gas just to foundation is ridiculous when it comes to, if you just want to change your price on one of these, you have to pay $15 to $30 in gas. If you want to delist it, you're going to pay a full-on gas price. So absolutely. And then our other question was like, so you have 4 owners, and what have you done in this space to attract buyers? Are you very active on Twitter, Discords, or what do you do?
Sorry, just one more point on
Sure.
the foundation one, if I may ask.
Sure.
Would you recommend reducing the prices on the ones that do not stand out?
I mean, to be honest, I would recommend actually, like, delisting this one, keeping this one that's powerful, reducing the price on this one, and then obviously keeping the ones on here that sold. And then I think you have a place to, you have a foundation, pun intended, I guess, to work upon. But that's, like I said, it's also a personal opinion. But I do feel like these shots are not executed as well as the others.
And I would chime in. I'll just kind of tell you my personal take is I'm not a fan of burning art that's been minted, and I know that that's not necessarily a popular opinion, but I think that it, for me personally, I don't want to do it because I don't want to waste the money. I'll just tell you that flat out. And I think that going forward, it might make more sense to kind of think about what you want to mint, but you have to decide, like, do you not care about the photo enough that you don't mind burning it? If that's the case, burn it. But if you believe in the photo, like, you just have to realize it is part of your foundation portfolio. It's on the blockchain. Everybody can see it. And as we can see here, Canal House is sold, and it lives here, and it's not going anywhere. You can't burn it at this point. The only person who can burn it is the person who bought it. So this is interesting because it's a mix of the stuff you own and the stuff you've minted and the stuff that you have sold. So these live here as long as the ones that you haven't sold yet. I would think about maybe reducing the prices on those two. And like I said earlier, you either need to lean really heavy into the story on that cypress tree, or lower the price. It's if you really believe in it and you want to keep it the price high, believe in yourself and keep it there.
Okay, the Lone Cypress, I think, the story was really compelling, and the tree is not there anymore. Plus, it's a CC0 work, which is why I priced it that high. I do not intend that work to get picked up anytime soon, which is also why it's largely different from the price of the other.
And that's okay. It's really beautiful. So
yeah,
no worries.
Sure. So just remain patient and just keep the photo relevant in spaces.
You asked one more question, and I wanted to answer that. And I think it was your third question. It was kind of a combination of question 2 and 3 about the OpenSea. You mentioned that the idea was to cap the collection at 20 photos, with photos getting added as existing ones get collected. And you asked if that's a good strategy, or should you add the remaining 14 photos right away so the collectors can see the whole collection instead of the available. I think the thought on collections is that if you're going to do that, you need to be really clear that it's an open collection with things that are going to be added to it. And as long as you say that up front, that is a valid way to do things. You may find that collectors don't like that, but I think it's good that you say it up front. If you decide to do that, you just have to realize that certain people may not like that. But as we've already said, I think it's okay to maybe have it be a looser kind of collection, and maybe don't lean into the idea they're all similar. And if that's the case, call it an open collection and just say, I'm going to keep adding photos to them as I have them. I wouldn't even put a cap on it. I wouldn't even say 20. But that's just my take.
Understood. Like you mentioned, this particular collection does not follow a common theme, but the way OpenSea works is that you need to make something into a collection. So I was forced to put these into a collection, even though they don't follow the same sort of color scheme or a common story.
I have one of those too, and it drives me nuts. I consider it kind of almost like a staging area where I'm putting some images that I like that I don't really want to put on Foundation. I'm not committed that far yet, but I also they don't fit into a collection.
Yeah, I just gifted somebody an NFT for a giveaway, and I had to create a collection just to gift it to him. And I gifted it to him first, so now I can't even change the name of the collection. It just says Mike Schmidt's collection. I would have changed it to like gifted only, and now it just says Mike Schmidt's collection, and it's on my OpenSea, and it's just an eyesore.
So Mike, I have actually changed a collection name for one that has a sold item in it. So you should look a little closer. I think you can do that.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, I think we should move on to the next artist. Yeah. Cool. Thank you for coming up on the mic. Appreciate that.
Thank you for your feedback. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, keep in touch, man.
Of course.
Next on here we have Travel by Arun Hegden. Great. It says Travel is a collection of travel photos Arun has created over the past 10 years of his photography career, from cultural events to daily life of people to naturescapes and street.
So I'm going to just jump out right off the bat and say that I had Aaron on my on the Photo Collective space a couple weeks ago. So I'm already familiar with this collection.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, this is really good, and there's a couple of these photos for me just are, like, wow, really, really fantastic.
Yeah, but in the same way I feel about some of the last collections where we talked about where they don't fit a story as a collection, and he says travel. I looked through his work, and I feel like he has a lot of amazing work. He could put some really great collections together that feel as a story. But these if they're single as one of one images, are just like really, really gorgeous.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Color is a shot.
I was looking to see if the artist is here. I think. Yeah.
I have not seen him.
Yeah. No. So I guess a couple of little things. I'll just give some basic feedback. I think that the portrait of Indian Girl is amazing. I think it's, really just, that's a one of one to me. And this is a side note. I kind of hate that the whole one of one versus collections versus editions thing. I kind of hate the names we've come up with for that.
Yeah.
I wish there was a better name for it, but this is a standalone image. I don't
Absolutely.
think I think it's stronger than this collection. I think it belongs on its own. I think that Bali Lights is the same, and I think that Eyes at Kaveri Pottenham, I think is also. These are all great standalone images.
Exactly. So this image doesn't make any sense in the same collection as the last, but they're so great as one-on-one standalone images. Like same thing I'm seeing here: triangles, light. You gorgeous light looking out in the direction of the negative space. Beautiful greenly lit, perfect composition.
Big fan. Yeah, I really like this work a lot, and I know that there was some talk when I was talking with that he was kind of going through and trimming down the collection. It looks like, I can't say we did it, but because I don't remember the collection well enough, but it seems like last time I saw it.
What's this one? I haven't really even opened this one. I see. It's almost like his feet are wounded part of the tree and roots. Still don't think it's as strong as the others in the collection.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
But I definitely, I just think this artist has so much good work. I definitely want to see a really well thought out, written, compelling artist statement with images that speak to each other. And if we're going to have just beautiful one of ones, a collection that just kind of is about it being one of ones, and this kind of almost says it's one of ones because it says it's about travel, but just because something's travel doesn't mean it comes together as something that speaks as a story together, right?
Which kind of fits the question that he had asked. He basically said, since I shoot a lot of genre, I have a decent collection of portraits, way nightscapes, and I was thinking it a wise idea to release a collection on gas field high right, but I have only one sale so far. And go ahead.
I was going to say, so I mean, I guess you can use me as an example. I am a really diverse photographer. I shoot everything. I'm shooting portraits and street and neon city stuff and fog and whatnot and landscape and stuff. But it's yeah, I could go and I could make a folder and I could put what I think my best of everything is, or I can kind of do what I've been doing and put a little story together, and then write about how it made me feel to shoot that. And I think that I've had success with that, with people saying, "Well, I really feel something from this collection. This speaks as it's I think I spoke about this in a previous AMA, thinking about your body of work as a movie almost. Does do the different sections of your body of work speak to that storyline, whatever that storyline is that you're going for? Begin strong, try to have all. I think all the images within a series should be strong, able to stand on their own, and also stand with the collection to speak as a full-on story. I think if you could nail that, and I think that this photographer has enough beautiful imagery that they could nail that, and I think that's the answer.
Agreed. And I think that if you look at those two portraits that have already sold, the one that's already sold, with the blue face paint, like that's gorgeous. And I think that one could go side by side with the other portrait in this series. And if you put those two if you had a portrait series like that on Foundation, I think that would work.
Yeah, absolutely. Just for portraits alone on Foundation.
Right. Yeah, and that's common. I think that's maybe a different, but to pick your thing and do and put them together.
And this in route home shot doesn't necessarily seem of the same caliber as the other photographs. I mean, there is a story here. I just don't know that it's a bit flat of an image compared to the rest. That's how I feel about it.
I tend to agree.
Yeah, but
I think that answers the questions here, right?
Yeah, I think it does. I think we can move on to the next one. Obviously, great for really nice guy too on Twitter.
Agreed.
Hope to see what he takes from the feedback and comes at us with. Cool. Street Opera by Uma Gumak. Uma Gumak, I think I said it.
Yeah.
I love this. I mean, I'm a sucker for like street photography that is highly thought out. Well, first of all, I mean, he makes a lot of strange work, and I kind of called this down myself. I called this down to something like this, which I think he has this common theme of using objects to really make you think. These mirrors here.
Yeah.
Very, very clever photography. Like, this man has wings. He just seems extremely majestic, even though he's just walking through town in his Adidas. But his timing as a photographer, the way he sees the world, pretty wild. Really makes the image like almost like a puzzle that you have to sort of put together with your mind. This is what I really like. Look at the bull pushing this guy off. Like, it's just, it's almost like so good that like, see the circle, right? He becomes part of the circle, like almost perfectly. It's like almost feels like it's staged, but they're not. This guy is just sort of that good. Like this, I think this is one of the best shots in the series. Like, this is wild to me. This reminds me very much of Alex Webb. You guys like this type of work, you should look up Alex Webb, The Suffering of Light, where he just, it's like he has amazing photographs within amazing photographs. Like you could split this in half and it's a great photograph. This is great. Look at this. Just look at this. Just look.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got this. You see he's doing a lot of clever things. He's not just trying to capture a moment, but he's trying to make you like think about life in other dimensions and other like. This is a little muddy for me, this image. That's the only thing. Like, I love the concept, but it feels muddy in the colors. Like the neck and stuff feels really brownish red, and I wouldn't. This wouldn't be the one that I would buy, even though I think it's extremely clever. It's a bit muddy.
See, and I think if I was gonna, I feel like this is a fantastic collection of odd juxtapositions of found kind of objects and people, and I love that. And then I feel like there's a couple random ones that don't really fit that.
Are you talking about the ones that I selected, or from the whole?
Well, that's the part that's so okay. So Glance is a beautiful photo, but I don't think it belongs in this collection.
Sure, I'm just going to run through the rest of the ones that I picked at least here. So
yeah,
there's like obviously this common theme of finding these people in front, like just wild, right? Like this is fantastic. Like this guy's lifting it. The girl's lifting this telescope up, and I don't know if he told them to do this or not. It doesn't matter to me. Even the girl's shirt is rainbow. Okay,
right?
And the telescope is literally spitting out rainbow, which is actually paint on the boat. So it's extremely clever stuff. Like this too, with the limbs. Like those aren't limbs. That's like hanging paint that it goes into this man's body, and then there's just another man's limb without the head, and this one is just really wild. The guy's carrying bagels, which happens to be a circular food, and then there's this circular like gunshot over his head. So these are the ones that I sort of went through and picked. And to your point, like there was other stuff in here that, like, for instance, like three dolphins, like where, yeah, I know what you're trying to say here, like the water lines up, and well, I didn't even really see that last time. This is actually pretty interesting. It didn't hit me as hard as some of the other ones, and there's ones like this that were felt
It's kind of a cool shot.
It is, but it doesn't fit it. This is more of it feels more set up, where the other ones feel more like a found object, right?
Yeah. To me, juxtaposition is the theme here. And street opera, which is the one that's banner image, doesn't fit. Jump doesn't fit as well. I would say even Matrix maybe a little of a stretch, and then the birdseed sellers.
Let's see. I'm looking for jump.
It's the one you mentioned with the guy upside down.
Oh yeah, so I feel like that fit. Chaos didn't fit to me.
The other one that's just really tough for me is I love Glance. It's an amazing photo. The one with the
Glance. Yeah,
I love that photo, but it doesn't feel.
It's not an odd. It's not
quirky and funny the way
juxtaposition. It's just an insanely good photograph.
Yeah, and so I just think it's interesting. It doesn't mean any of those are good. They're all high quality photos. But if you really wanted to tighten up the collection a little bit, that would be a way to do it. But they're good. And I'll just say this: this artist wasn't really asking for specific feedback, so I don't have anything really to give here except to say. In fact, now that I look at it, it said 2 were sold. Well, that's not true anymore. At this point,
6 owners.
4 or 5. Yeah. A bunch are sold. So something's working here. But I think it's interesting that all the ones that are sold are all these quirky
ones. Let's look at the sold. So quirky here. Yeah, this is the only black and white one in the series. This is funny.
Oh, that's really brilliant. I love it.
Look at that. Oh my God. Evolution. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I love the way this guy sees. So good.
So in the absence of asking for feedback, I think we'd say, like, you really have a clear concept here. My only advice would be maybe tighten up the collection a little bit, pull out some of the ones that are, and maybe even give them their own place. Like, I think that the one you just clicked on, eyes, man, that is a full-on standalone image. That is cool. And I think that could be, kind of live on its own. In fact, here's maybe an idea, is that one, all these ones that play on lights, so like eyes and Matrix, all these ones that are super bright and brilliant and have trailing lights, those could all kind of go together. They have a different vibe, a different feel to me than the rest of these.
I'll tell you right now, what would stop me from collecting would be no indication of these being one of one, and how many times he could replicate these, because there's nothing in the main description, and there's nothing in the description of any of these. So I, as a collector, would definitely like to see that edited, and that this is a one-of-one image, and that he's going to just sell it on here and then sell it on another site too, because he didn't list that. So
so there's your feedback right there.
You need that for sure.
Complete your descriptions, tighten up the titles, tighten up all of that stuff, and then think about whether this collection is the quirky street stuff, and maybe see if some of these might have another life, more focused collection, because I feel like there's some talent that we're seeing here with light and with bold colors that's different from the rest of the found stuff.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Next, we have Vinod. That's the real RVP. Yeah, you have his questions pulled up?
I do. Okay, so these are the questions. I've minted my first piece on Foundation a day before they launched collections. Hence, these pieces are standalone here on Foundation. Is that a problem? That's the first question. The second question, I've got a number of street and landscape photos waiting to be minted, but was wondering if I should hold on to them until I sell a single piece on Foundation. And 3, should I go ahead and mint these on OpenSea so collectors will understand the range of work? Well,
I don't understand.
Look at the work, right?
I don't understand why Foundation can't let him take these images now and put them into a collection. Is it just something with the blockchain that's not going to work with it?
Yeah, the way that it works is that Foundation creates their way of creating collections is to create a specific smart contract for all of those photos to live in. So there's no way you can't add the photos after the fact because it's part of the smart contract.
Well, this is the standout image to me. Like, of the images, I really love this image. I love that the mother swan, the swan is just looking out, and like kind of all the babies are just doing their own thing. They're distanced from each other, and it's just like she has this like care over them. And I love the solid black background with the white. It's very, very fine art. Theme here, obviously. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Dan.
No, I was going to say I think that is very good. I think you're right. It is standalone. It's the best photo here in the collection. And I say collection because I'm going to let you know a little hint. I don't think that Foundation's collections add a damn thing.
I don't think they do either. I think it hurts. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I just don't think it's fine. I think it just makes navigation more difficult. And it's not to say that I won't ever mint a collection on there, but it seems kind of like, hey, guess what? We've added a smart contract for you to your photos. It just makes it cost more. And I don't think it actually creates a more compelling vibe here for the average collector. I don't think they care.
And you could never get rid of that collection unless you pay to get every single photo moved from the blockchain.
Right, and that you can't because they're all made with that smart contract.
Yeah, and so I'm in a predicament, right? Because I sold out 3 series on OpenSea, and then I decided to do my 4th series on Foundation. And so now it's not like I could just, I can't call back images. I can't do any of that stuff unless I want to pay money. And so it's just I'm not doing anything else until stuff starts to basically move on my Foundation. And everybody wants to buy on Foundation because they don't like the idea of having to be part of an auction. Want to just buy it and have it now. Although I don't think that many bidding wars actually happen unless you have like a really big name as an artist already. I don't see it happening at all. To be honest.
So that first question, I say, don't worry about collections on Foundation. I don't think that's a thing. And somebody else might disagree. Like Omar Robles has an amazing street photography collection. Cool, that's great for him. I don't know that it makes any difference for the average artist. Number 2. You mentioned there's a number of street and landscape photos waiting to be minted. I would say instead of waiting to put those on here as a collection, I think it's wise to consider, if you haven't released any of them, to consider doing a collection. Or there's other options. You could look at other places where you can do collections. Like I know I've been working on getting my first collection ready for Sloika. So if Sloika is something that might interest you, they do collections a lot less expensive, but you are also committing to the entire collection and you can't alter them later. So all the stuff we just said about Foundation, why you wouldn't do it there, you could do it on a place like Sloika. It's just cheaper.
Yeah, I just got accepted to Sloika too, and I'm trying to put something together for them. What is the cost difference between minting there versus Foundation? Like, let's say you want to do a series of 10.
I think so. What I've seen people mentioning that I've talked to so far is between $200 and like $600 is about what it costs to mint like between 10 and 20.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah. It is a process, right? They send you a big checklist and you have to go through the entire checklist, fill it all out. You're not minting any of it yourself. Send all the descriptions to them. Yeah, and they onboard and do it all.
But they also market to them.
Say that again.
They also market for you too.
Right. So that's a way to think about it. OpenSea is cheaper, but they're not going to help you, and it isn't actually minted. But here's the big thing to think about. Everybody jumped into OpenSea and has posted their small collections because the barrier to entry is very low. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think that that's a very, very fair and reasonable way.
You might have got wrong.
He's here. Oh no, you're still here. I can hear you.
Oh no, I was saying you're cutting in and out. I'm just actually looking at if anyone's asked anything particular in here.
Oh, okay.
The AMA chat.
Well, I was going to see is our boy here in the chat? I don't think he is. Yeah, I don't see him in here.
I thought he was the real RVP.
Does he have a different?
He was.
Yeah, I think he was on earlier.
Okay, so maybe he had to go, but there'll be a recording.
So ultimately, all of that said, I think that deciding to maybe mint some of this, mint some work and try some stuff out on a different platform might make. And I almost would maybe I would stick to the black and white vibe here on Foundation if that works for me. But right now, there's no sales yet. So, who knows?
There's a lot of similar photos. Like these last three, I mean, this is a hard sell for me going from 0.35 ETH to 1 ETH on this. Like, okay, so this is kind of clever. I don't know if it lends to the image that it's like sort of tilted and not straight.
Hello.
Who's there?
Oh yeah, it's me, Vinod.
Hey, you're here. Okay, good.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Vinod.
Hey Mike, hey Dan, thanks so much for doing this. The basis of this was like I had a career in engineering, and then I left all of that and I went into wedding photography. And I have this strong passion for street and landscape photography going on, but I couldn't really pursue that because that didn't pay the bills. So I did weddings, and then from there, I thought, you know what? Since I'm going into NFT and I'm going to start focusing on a bit of my streets and wedding, I could start off my minting collections with a story about me. Hence why this six-part image. Like if you notice, it starts off with me just I'm perceived that I feel like I'm the bird flying off into a new horizon. If you look at the first image. Okay. So that's how the story was flowing, lah. And then in the end you see this swan giving back, meaning to say that I want to give back to the community.
I see that. So there we would kind of need to know, and maybe I didn't even look at the descriptions.
Correct. Exactly. So that's where my limbo is.
Well, maybe that's a good thing to notice, is that some people are going to look and some people are just not going to.
Correct.
And for me, I think the descriptions are just far enough away from what the content, from what the photos are, that I didn't even think to look.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that tells you anything, or what that means.
No, I don't get you.
Well, I'm just saying I didn't even look at the descriptions.
Okay.
And I think you have to kind of consider that might be what other people do too.
I see.
Okay.
So got it.
And Foundation may not be a great place for that because there is no description because they're not actually a collection. And I don't know how much you caught. Did you just join us, or were you there and then got rugged and came back?
No, I was here all this while. It's just that I couldn't. My mic was off.
Yeah.
Look at these wedding photos.
Yeah, those are great.
Go on. No, I'm sorry.
No,
I
I was just
know.
going to say, like, that's maybe one reason why this doesn't work as a collection here on Foundation, is because
Got it.
there's no narrative for the whole thing that people have to look at right at the beginning.
Correct. You're right.
Yeah.
So what do you suggest I should do moving forward with this especially?
I mean, the part that's tricky is because it's Foundation, there's not a whole lot you can do with it unless you really
Correct.
want to just burn the whole thing.
Yeah, man, this costs a bomb to do it, but I'm
Exactly.
thinking about it. I'm thinking about it though.
I hear you.
Well,
I wouldn't burn
out.
this. I wouldn't burn
Yeah.
this at all.
Okay.
I think it's really good.
Okay.
I don't listen. I'm not saying that this isn't worth one ETH because I think it is worth one ETH. But if you haven't sold anything yet, then to
Yep.
collectors, it's not worth one ETH. So I would
Okay.
consider that. I think this is just like levels stronger than some of these other ones.
Okay.
But while interesting, they just don't stand up to like the fine art, compositional aspect, the storytelling aspect of this whole thing of the mother. Is Swan?
It's a swan, yeah.
Oh,
It's a
Goose.
swan.
Okay, yeah. Mother Swan, like with the babies, like just I see what you're doing here. This is kind of cool. It's like you flipped it upside down. It's a little trippy. I'm not necessarily too drawn to this. I don't feel much from it, to be honest. It's just going to be quite honest with you here.
Got it.
Yeah. This is this is interesting composition and stuff, but like I don't find it as good as say this one. I found this one better. Like I love the Eiffel Tower here and the bird flying out.
Yeah.
Got something there?
I think this is a classic example of a bunch of photos that are wild. Like when Mike, can you pull up that wedding work again? Do you still have that?
I think it's great.
To
really
me,
great.
I'm seeing some really beautiful work here. That is, while I get it. This is client work. It's not the same, but it's showing me that you've got the chops. You have the skills to make this go. You are a really good photographer. To me, the other pieces, they work as part of a collection, but individually they're nowhere near as strong as you're capable of.
Look at this. Oh my God.
So I think you have to really think about that. The bird series works as maybe a lower price collection, but I think that this is not the kind of work I would expect to pay 1 ETH for on Foundation.
Got it.
Whereas there's one piece in here that you scrolled by up towards the top, Mike, that was just unreal. No, it was in Instagram.
Yeah. It was at the very top, or
yeah, I think it was up towards the top.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good ones. I shoot weddings too, but I'm not at this level.
These are gorgeous.
Wow, look at this one.
And I think this could be an interesting thing for you to maybe even talk to some of your, the people you work with and ask if they would be open to a split. If, to say, hey, if there's a photo that's maybe not very descript, that doesn't have their faces, but if they would be willing to allow you to mint them and split with them, pay them a fee. I think you've got
you can pay them a fee right through OpenSea. You can just add them as a collaborator and give them 20% or 10% or whatever you think's fair. I mean, it's free money for them. They're not doing anything, and you have a lot. Did you find the shot?
No, I didn't see it.
It's okay.
But I guess so. This is a theme that we had last week when we did this, where I went and we found the person's Instagram account and found that they had some stronger work, and then we found that they already minted some of the stuff on OpenSea. And I just think this is a common theme. People are maybe, while we always tell people to self-curate a lot better, I think in this case you should broaden out, because I think you've got a lot of great work here that I think is better than what you showed us here.
Okay, got it.
I think that maybe when you made this collection, you had the mindset that like an NFT had to be a certain thing or look a certain way. I sort of had that in the beginning, and I don't know if that resonates with you at all.
So I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like when I minted this, I felt I'm all that great. Like I'm going to be blunt. I felt like I had a big ego in me because back home I shoot weddings, and I'm known in the market, and I've done quite. I've gone on radio stations and TV stations and whatnot locally. It's just that when I got on the NFT, I thought like, oh, okay, you know what? The moment I go in, people are gonna buy my work. I had that ego in me.
Me
But
too.
then
Everyone
yeah,
did.
yeah. So I thought, okay, you know what? I'll go in with my least important images, and then I'll slowly release the nicer ones that I have. And then I realized, oh my God, this is such a humbling experience. Like I'm meeting so many people in fact, I met people who are like way better than me. Like you guys are, I mean, like everyone here is art is subjective, yes, but everyone has their own views and visions, and I'm like, oh my God, what did I just do?
Yeah, dude.
Join the club. Join the club.
We all feel the same way. Humility is a big one here. Like recognizing that you're understand your importance, but also understand that you're no more important than anyone else, right? And like
Amen.
I've been
Amen.
humbled by a lot of people in this space here, and a lot of us make really great work, but like what are we doing to to help the community grow? I mean, I know a lot of people use this oh, I'm here for the community, I'm this and that, blah blah blah, but like I put a post today. If you're hustling every day,
I read that.
Like if you're putting out work every day, if you're trying to help people, if you're here for the right reasons, you're doing all of it right. Blessings are gonna come your way, right? We all get discouraged time to time, like like I was saying exactly in the post, like Web 2 with Instagram, this, that, likes, clout. We have this instant gratification that we become used to, and then when no one pays attention to us for 1 week and buys puts a bid or buys, we start to feel these feelings of worthlessness, or is this series is not as good as the last one I put out, people are, we get all these like self-defeating thoughts, and I think it's just like it's a patience thing. It's a patience thing, but also like, maybe you overthought a little bit on some of the stuff when you're putting like you wanted to put out work that wasn't exactly your best at first, and think, oh, this is just going to sell, because we see these people selling things all the time, like 8-bit images and all this other stuff but we don't understand utility at first, or maybe we didn't understand that there's a guy who sold 100 palm trees and he made 350 ETH off of these palm trees that, no offense, I feel like I go and take them with my iPhone in California in 2 weeks. But what's behind what he did? Is he a mastermind as far as bringing people together? Did he create a Discord where people who love palm trees come together and all share, and then have an army behind him before he releases series? There's like levels to this stuff, right? So it's not just about posting like beautiful art, but what you are as a whole. There are some people that are going to buy art just because it's beautiful, but there's going to be a lot of serious collectors that are like, well, who is Vinoth? What is he doing? Let me look at his website. Oh, he does wedding also. They may go there and say, oh, I like the stuff better here than I do Foundation. Or like, the people are going to look at what you're doing as a whole. Do you have a Discord, or are you part of Discord? Are you part of Discord communities and sharing your stuff there, helping build the people within those communities? And what I'm saying. We all come in and have to be humbled.
Oh yeah, man, yeah.
I agree, and I think that's probably a good place to wrap up, right?
For sure.
You got some great work, and my encouragement would be put more of it out there.
Thanks, guys.
Cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for getting up here.
Yes.
And I'm also following you on Instagram now because great work.
Yeah, I just followed him on Facebook. Cool.
Same.
Coastal Dreaming. Who's Coastal Dreaming?
That is
it Galaxy? No, it's not Galaxy.
That's David Fairs.
Yeah, David Fairs. Sorry. Yep. So Coastal Dreaming. Coastal Dreaming is my first collection on offer, comprised of my favorite ocean aerial art pieces created over the past 4 years. I use a mixture of techniques to create graphic imagery that represents how I see the beauty of nature and people interacting within the space. Waking up before dawn and heading out to capture the beauty of the rising sun over the sea is my daily meditation. It brings me a sense of calm and deep connection to both my soul and the earth. Hopefully, this work resonates with others and brings joy to fellow ocean lovers out there. These images can all be printed in high definition. Collector unlocks landscape versions, sign prints, and other goodies. Owning an image from Coastal Dreaming will allow VIP access to future drops. Very cool. So you have some utility. I'd list in there in the main description too that they're one of one, unless they're not. I went over the work, and obviously you're a great photographer. Lots of beautiful stuff here. I kind of pulled together a little folder of my own, or I do, of the stuff that I thought was really strong to me. I find your best work, Dave, is these hyper minimal aerial landscapes. Like they're just even the ones that like I even like the ones that don't even have the wildlife, just like these. This one is gorgeous with Surfer, like just showing the scale and just those waves and the color difference between the waves here and then the white here and then just the darker beiges into the lighter beige and just that shadow. Absolutely beautiful. I'm not surprised that. Go ahead.
You know what's so interesting is that we would usually say, hey, you don't put two that are really similar, but the artist has already sold two that are this almost exact same image.
Yeah, for sure. So
and so take it with a grain of salt, right? I mean, sometimes we're full of crap and sometimes we can't account for what will work and what won't. But yeah, I agree. These are really like, I mean, this is something you'd see on a gift shop wall, man. I mean, you could see people buying editions of this in Hawaii or that sort of place.
Yeah,
I can see it selling a lot of that. It'd be a really popular kind of image.
It's a beautiful pastel sort of colors here. Like, oh my gosh, look at the detail. And I think this is sand with water covering it. I'm not sure. I don't even care. It's just still beautiful to the eye.
Yeah. I think my favorite is the one with the shadows, the long shadows across the middle, diagonally.
What's it's this one here?
It's called Light and Shade. No, that one there.
Oh, it's
with the diagonals. Yeah, it's the first one. There we go.
Oh, this one, yeah, super beautiful. Just the difference in the grays too. Just like the stone gray, it's this light grays to the whites, and then just these shadows come. Yeah, it's beautiful. That's one of the first ones I picked there. But yeah, you get a theme from like what I'm showing here is like, I mean, even this is just less minimal than some of the other ones. But these are sort of the ones that really stood out to me. But let's look at the collection as a whole. I mean, because there are some gorgeous ones in here that are not necessarily minimal, but let's see. Taking from that perspective, like I thought. This surf shot is beautiful to me, but it doesn't feel like it fits. I mean, the color palette fits and the water theme fits.
I'm gonna put one thing out here: is this one, the one with the first one, the colored one, the one with all the burning skies.
Yeah, I'll go back to it. Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna say that I don't know why this is specifically, but there's something about this one that doesn't hold up resolution wise with the rest of the photos in this section. It feels like it's a little bit noisy, like maybe it's gotten pushed. The shadows have been pushed a little too far. And I'm a photographer too. Like I totally get it. But this one might be one of those ones. Hey, it's on OpenSea. You might want to take another look at it and just see if it might benefit from some noise reduction or something like that. I don't know if it's maybe cropped in a little bit.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I didn't think that this image here was particularly not that one. This image was particularly strong enough for this collection. I don't feel any real subject in this, and there's not. I mean, when you got cotton candy colors, it's quite beautiful, but I don't really understand like the desolate nature of this to the rest of the world.
Interesting story, but I kind of agree. I don't know that it. I guess this is where I would lean is you've got these beautiful top-down drone shots of the beaches and the water, and I love those, and I think they work as their own thing. And then all of these other kind of interesting, more traditional shots out to the ocean are really beautiful, but I almost wonder if
in a different series.
Yeah, they work better as their own series. Like the Lighthouse. Lighthouse is really cool, but the Lighthouse doesn't really fit the same vibe.
No.
All that said, like, I've never shot anything like these. These are gorgeous. And
yeah, they really are.
And I get how, as you're curating your own work, that you go, oh, these all go together. These all fit together in your own brain. My challenge would be just to say, okay, how many, if you culled them to only these beautiful top-down views, how many of those would work together? And then you probably got enough of these angled drone shots of surfers. It's almost its own collection too. You know, there's just that could be. I mean, I'm counting here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 11 photos, or maybe it's 10 photos of surfers.
Yeah, so like instead of trying to sell all of your ocean stuff in one series, maybe easier to just kind of sell out three of them, 3 series. You know, we'll have 7 owners in this, but a lot of your owners are of the top down, so that's actually a good thing if you wanted to call this down, right? Because all of the owners, every owner, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, every owner is this top down. So you could literally take, I don't know, 3 more of your top down ones that you really like and keep those, get rid of the rest of these, and you'll be sold out in 3 images. And then now you have room to create more bodies of work. That's the route that I would personally go.
In fact, yeah, I'm looking through here, and I think that there are only, if I'm counting them, like Gentle Giant is a top down on a whale.
Yeah, it's up here.
Kalala Beach Split, Kalala Beach, Solo Soul Surfer. Those are the remaining top downs. Oh, and then Strawberry Cocktail and Light Shade. I mean, there's only like 5 left. I would say spin all those off into their own collection. You know, basically rename the collection and pull all the rest of these surfer ones out and do those as their own collection. And here's what's cool about OpenSea. You could literally create the new collection, go in and edit the individual pieces, and just move them into the new collection.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even have to burn them or delete them.
Was there a specific question from this photographer?
You know, he had said, I would love some feedback on my Coastal Dreaming collection, specifically how it presents, the description, and the look and feel. Does it attract attention? I've had a few sales and lots of people show interest, but I can't seem to get collectors to buy it. Well, let me just say right off the bat, you've sold 1.5 in volume. So that's not exactly nobody's looking. People are buying these.
Good money.
You should take the cue from who's buying at what they're buying. They like these top-down images. That is working. And so what I would do is I would tighten this collection up into just those. And and then a perfect example. Life at Dawn is one of the ones with a sunset and somebody surfing, and there's some stuff off in the. Keep going up.
I'm looking. Third
I
got it. Yep.
create a collection based on this look.
Yeah. And you know what? The collectors who bought the top-down ones, if you make this an only top-down ones, they might buy more of them now. You know, they might buy some of the other top-down ones.
Yeah.
You know.
I just thought I'd check and see if David is in the room here with us.
I don't see him in here.
Yeah, I don't
That's
either.
cool. All right.
Well, David, if you listen to the replay, a really gorgeous work, and I hope that helps. Let me throw one more thing out there. The strawberry moon, the one with the giant moon, I think that one maybe doesn't fit in either one of these collections. And my reasoning for that is because this is a, you know, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I think this is a composite. And while some of the other ones might be, this one is obviously composite, and I don't think it fits.
That was one of the first ones that I've seen when I was looking at this earlier today. I knew immediately that it was a composite. Now, it's a beautifully done composite. It just belongs in the body of work. Exactly. That makes sense. Yeah,
I totally agree. I mean, that's my thought. Is I can respect a good composite, but I think I'd pull it and have it be its own thing somewhere else. And if I'm going to be in straight up here, I mentioned there's like 10 surfing shots. You know, some of these other shots, Palm Beach, Candy Sunset, maybe Bush to Bay. I think maybe some of those don't work in these collections, and I would think about maybe culling them out.
No. Well, I think he's got enough information to actually make some good decisions here. So
for sure, it's beautiful work. I'm definitely going to be following along. I'd love to see how this goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. You have Abstract Frames collection, and this is by DIJI.
Yeah.
I think he's here with us too. So. All right, as art's impact on humans is so intimate and speaks to the nonverbal aspects of our life that it can't be fully expressed in words. As a result of art's interaction with the nonverbal aspects of our life, it culminates to a sensory experience. Let go of your desire to translate this experience into words and let the artwork lead you to paths less traveled, even to higher spheres.
So he didn't ask any specific questions, but he is here in the session with us. So I would love to, if you've got specific questions, and I'm going to mispronounce your name, but if it's DG, I don't know, DG, chime in if you wouldn't mind.
I'll pick the ones that stood out to me.
Looks like he just dropped out of the group, unfortunately. I think he left when he was trying to get on stage. Well, let's move ahead, and if he jumps in, let's so
let's do that. Let's do that
then. His feedback in here was he just wanted feedback. He's used flowers for creating these images. Aspect art allows the artist to see beyond the visible. It's kind of the same stuff. Look like he's back. So DG, if you can unmute yourself, we would love to hear from you and see if there's any specific feedback you're looking for.
All right. Well, if he wants to jump in, he can. If not, I looked through some of them and
he just
unmuted. Some.
Hello.
Oh, okay, cool.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, Mike. Thank you so much. It's pretty early in the morning here, so
I can imagine.
How are you doing?
Actually dozed off, and suddenly, I pressed some wrong places, and I got out of it.
You pressed the wrong button.
Yeah.
So did you have some specific questions, some things we could give you feedback on?
My specific question is like I just wanted, because when I posted this collection, I had not seen much of abstract collections in the NFT space when I started off. So I initially thought I'll start with the collection of 25 and all this, and finally I dropped it down to 12 numbers and posted it. And somehow I'm not able to get the reach. So I just really don't know. I mean, it's kind of art is really accepted, or is it, or it doesn't reach the collectors, because I generally see most of the work that is being picked up are, the portrait kind of work or the street kind of work. So I rarely see somebody picking up abstract, especially in terms of photography I'm talking about. I haven't seen much of work going out. So that was one concern I had. And because I try to keep my work, even though I do multidisciplinary work, um, but I wanted to be specific here, and like different platform, I wanted to use it for my different style of works. So I just wanted to have your opinion about how this work. I mean, is it really worth keeping it here? So that's one. And because I've kept on foundation, I have a different style of work which I've kept. It is basically, more of art and culture based from the country which I'm living in. I'm from India, so more of my works are based on that. So
I wouldn't worry too much about the genre of photography. You have this guy, the bald photographer, who is doing this splash of color collection, and as you can see, he's traded to Ethereum. His floor price is 3 ETH now, 20 items sold. So yeah, I think it's not just street photography and stuff that's selling. So definitely wouldn't worry too much about the genre. I
I
think
also
all art.
I'll
Go
throw
ahead.
out there another one. Aaron Ferguson is somebody you might want to look at as well. Aaron did a whole series of scanography, which is scans of flowers, and he also did a series of kind of macro shots as well of stuff like this, but it's color.
okay.
Let's see. Yeah. So looking at the. Go ahead, Dan.
Oh, I was just going to say, so it's out there. People are doing this. People are doing this kind of work. I wonder. When I looked through, I just pulled up your foundation work as well, and it's very, very different and beautiful. And I see you've had a couple of sales there. I like these. I think that what you're going to find is that when you get super specific, and I had a collection that I did that's all abstract mud cracks from the desert. What I think you'd find is that you really have to tell the story to sell really specific abstracts, especially like macro things like that. You either need to have a well-known name, people already know who you are, or you need to tell the story.
Okay.
This is much different, huh? Oh.
Right.
This is very strong color, very documentary style. Yeah, I mean, as far as the ones from your series go, let's stick with that. So there was ones for me that clearly worked better than the other ones, and the ones for me that worked better were the ones I think that you actually shot at a less shallow depth of field, and there was more detail. So some of the ones where I could actually see the textures, feel the textures.
I tend to agree.
Yeah, and I think that when you go abstract, and this one worked for me in an abstract way. I can't tell that it's flowers anymore, but the composition works for me abstractly. And this one has it's headed in the right direction, but I don't know that it's exactly there. Now, the ones that don't work as well for me are like, for instance, you know. This one like this here, where we only got this small detail here, and I don't really understand your composition, like what's going on and this left side of the frame and how it really lends to any of the beauty of what's going on here. And you sort of have the same thing with this one, where the detail, like you have this little line of detail that's just sort of not enough to bring my eyes anywhere else in the image to really, to really care. I sort of lose interest after that. I'm sorry. I'll go on. Whereas like, something like this, my eyes kind of want to wander and be all over, and you have good detail here, and you have this sort of like dreamier blur out here, and I don't know, it was something that I could feel from this image that I just can't from some of the others. This one here, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to add something. I think one of the things that I agree, I was going to point out that one and say I don't think that one works as well. I think, and I'm not a macro photographer, so I'll start with that. But I think one of the things that's interesting about macro, that when I'm looking at work, I want to see items in focus, and I want to see the items not in focus. I want to see those two things used as contrast. And when I see an image where everything's a little blurry, or there's not clear sharp lines anywhere in the frame, I find that I don't find any interest in it. So that's, I think the idea with macro is that you're able to focus on things super close, but you need to make sure you're super intentional about what you focused on, and that there's at least a leading line that shows you what you're kind of looking at, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's no subject in this one for me. Like, even what is in focus, I sort of don't understand what I'm looking at. And I know part of your artist statement it says try not to understand, but there needs to be more to keep me intrigued. And I think maybe it's just more detail, or maybe it's just more leading lines or shapes or geometry or something that encompasses the frame, like some of the other ones that
that one, it's called the grip. But I think that if you were going to look at, specifically look at the reflection is a better version of that, because
let's see.
It's the ones with the long stems. It's on the bottom row towards the other end.
Yeah, it is.
And to me, while there's a bunch that's blurry, it's clear that I can see where it's coming from. I can kind of get a sense of what's happening.
There's something nostalgic about it rather than being blank.
Exactly. So this whole collection, I think, would work better if it were tighter. The other thing that I would kind of just throw out there, I'm sure that black and white was a specific artistic choice, but you're shooting flowers here. So my only feedback, it's not only feedback, but a piece of feedback might be to consider whether black and white has whether it's a positive or negative in this situation.
Okay.
They're flowers. I mean, and I get what you're doing here. At the same time, most of the macro flower work I've seen that's done well is color, because when people think about flowers, they think about color. And I know that might rub against the very reason you did this, but I would just want to put that out there.
So look at the one that sold. It is very beautiful, where it has enough detail to just see like these little pieces of like pollen or whatever this is, beautiful crystallized pieces, but yet I feel like
black and white too.
Yeah, and I feel like I could sort of dive into this flower, and there's just so, there's a lot, there's flaps here, and there's this hole here where it goes down and there's something there, and it just brings me on more of a journey than some of the others.
I agree, and that one makes the case that maybe black and white's the right choice. So, grain of salt, right?
Yeah, beautiful color work too. So you have multidisciplinary photographer from Explain Creative Style. So you have it kind of all in one here. Sold. I think right now the color stuff's standing out to me. I think you need to cool down a lot of these, figure out whether or not, like Dan said, whether or not black and white is the right choice here. May or may not be. We won't know until we see it in color. And maybe bright color is not the choice, but maybe like a muted sort of color could be. We'll know until we see it. Do you have any other questions?
No. It's fine. Thank you so much. It's been
appreciate you
really,
coming up.
Yeah, appreciate you coming up.
yeah, I really appreciate your feedback, and it's been very useful. Definitely work
Stay in
on
touch.
All right.
something that, some of the photos, even whatever you have told, I myself had some doubts on certain photos I have posted. So probably I replace it with something that is that goes in that, or something I will remove from that. Uh,
Great. Thanks.
yeah, great.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
sir.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
I'll catch you with some sleep. Thank you so much.
You'll get some sleep, man.
Yeah.
I forget what time it is. It's like 4:30 p.m. here, so I'm like just chilling.
Yeah.
All right.
And I have a regular work as well, because photography has
Yeah.
been a kind of a passion for me, more than so I'm here in this place actually to enjoy the process and probably support the community, and that's my aim here, because I have a regular profession which I'm into, that feeds me on a regular basis. So I'm an entrepreneur, and I've been so
Yeah. We'll try to keep time for what
yeah,
you
yeah,
love, right?
but definitely NFT has given me a lot of connection. I've been able to talk to you today. That itself is a big connection for me, I consider. So this is what actually motivate me to do things. So thank you so much for your valuable feedback. Um, so
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
yeah, thank you.
All
Okay,
right.
so this next one's Blue Flux.
Yeah. So this is the first digital artist, right, that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Uncertainty is not a tame songbird. Uncertainty is not a tame little songbird that you can hold in a cage and coax into singing for you. You cannot threaten it, nor scare it, nor coerce it into subservience. No, uncertainty chuckles and continues to slither and grow and shed its malt over and over. You can never see uncertainty itself. Only the malts that it leaves in its wake catch your eye. The artwork is my reflection on the ever morphing nature of uncertainty and the power that feelings of uncertainty exert over us humans, be it our most primal fears or temporary everyday anxieties. Humans instinctively try to negotiate, make peace treaties with uncertainty. To dissect these peace treaties is to accept our confusion at finding ourselves alive in a seemingly unscripted universe. I love that artist statement very much.
I
It's like,
agree. I agree.
yeah.
Okay, so I gotta say that I gotta read just a little bit of what Blue Flux mentioned, asking for critique. First of all, I've had this feeling the collection's missing something. Perhaps it's cohesiveness. I'm not sure. I'd appreciate a general critique of it overall, a frank and blunt critique. I haven't sold a single piece yet since October, and I'd like to know if you have any suggestions on tweaking that might work in my favor. I've tried talking about the collection in a few spaces, but I suspect I'm not able to get the point across that well regarding what this collection means as a whole. I'd appreciate any insights you might have, especially truth bombs. So, we're not mean by any stretch, but but you've opened yourself up and said you want the truth bombs and you want us to be blunt. And I think it's great that you asked for that. So let me just start with, first of all, I am not an artist like this. So I have a lot of respect and I see a lot of really beautiful work here. There's so much thought that's gone into this. When I look at the individual pieces, you have great descriptions of what you're talking about, of what it means to you. I love that. I mean, I'll just start with that. I think there's a cohesiveness here to this work that looks, there's some themes here that work for me. I love there's some face shapes, there's some similarities. Even when it's not even sure when I'm not even sure it's a face, I know it's a face because I know how you shape your faces, which is kind of cool. And I love little details. I love Schrodinger's eyelids. Love that all the little weird details. I love that I can't tell if those are knots or scissors, but I love it. Like, I feel like there's a lot to search for in most of these pieces.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I respect that you want us to be frank. I will just be frank with you. Well, first of all, I don't. I'm not a digital artist, but I do love all art genres. I did grab a few of them that were the ones that stood out to me. It was these 4 pieces. I think it's, let's see. Because they seem, well, this one, for instance, really stands out to me. It feels a lot more. Some of the images feel a bit more sophomoric to me. Let me just start off by saying that. So when I say sophomoric, I mean when I look at this, for instance, I don't know what you're using to create this. I don't know what you're using to create some of these, but they sort of reminded me of some of the newly AI generated stuff where you kind of type in some keywords and it pops up with like a vibrant piece of art that artificial intelligence has created, where this here feels a lot more human to me. Like it was, it was done with more intention. I love the face broken off into 3 different colors. The color of the hair, the idea of uncertainty and stuff really comes through in this one for me, especially too, because it's like almost a face with 3 sides. It's a scrambled thought process. It's beautifully executed. Love the color relationships you used here. This how you built this sort of sun colored flare halo of a flare around her. That one, you know, if I was to be a collector, that would be the one for me. I also do like this type one that you've created here. I think this is really beautiful. I love the color relationships. I love the small details and you know how it comes from this narrow inward, just facing outwards, and really speaks to just the infinite, not infancy, but the infinite. There must be a word for it. The infinite life of the universe that is uncertain. I really loved that. But this image was really beautiful too, where it's a little bit less abstract, but I love all your color relationships and your geometry and these pieces that are just hanging down here that I think represent hair, but I'm almost unsure. But it's really beautiful to me, and the square, the triangled off nose, and this reminds me of like the all-seeing third eye. Love that. So these seem, some of these ones I'm pointing out just seemed a bit more intentional to me, where these 2 here, which you actually priced higher, so maybe to you there's a story or something, but these ones seemed like a bit less intentional and a bit more random. Although, I mean, it's observing fishes swim, which I could see in this, and I think I should read the artist statement. Water folds in on itself around the metallic silvery glint of fish scales, around the grace in their whip-like tails. Water folds in on itself over and over. Water finds water. That much is certain, at least. You're a great poet. Great poetry. Really beautiful poetry. And when I read the poetry, it actually makes me enjoy the piece more than I did without the poetry. So I do have a new respect for this piece. This one I wasn't sure that the white borders with the vignetted black borders, like, added to this piece. if it was just on its own, maybe its own circular sort of piece, and not square with this negative space. I don't know how you feel about that, Dan. About this one.
That doesn't personally bother me. To me, I it's kind of hard to say because, like, for me, that is by a long shot my favorite piece in the whole collection here.
Oh, it is. Wow.
Yeah.
See, that's how different. That's how different. Especially when we're not looking at photography now. So it's.
Yeah. When I think that probably the reason why is because it's like, so look at it and then read the statement. When you look at someone who's asleep, you cannot tell if they're having a pleasant dream or a horrid nightmare behind closed eyes. It's uncertain until the person opens their eyes and actually tells you what they saw. The color purple is used here as it is a mix of blue, peaceful sleep, and red, fiery nightmare. And
speaking of sleep, I think someone fell asleep on the mic.
I think so.
Yeah.
But like I mentioned at the beginning, I love that, what are we looking at here? Are they ropes? It looks like they're ropes and then knots maybe, but also they almost look like scissors. And then all of the really interesting gradient brushes for the eyebrows and lashes, and like I don't know what I'm looking at here. I don't know if it's supposed to be a pleasant, amazing thing or if it's a nightmare. Like I clearly know what it is. It's eyes for sure.
It feels like there's eyes held up by ropes.
Exactly.
And the lashes are really. It feels like trapped, or like can't like you don't have the freedom to escape something. Is what I get from this piece. Right? It's very trapped.
If I had to give some overall feedback here, so like I mentioned, I really like the consistency of the face shapes throughout the collection.
This one and this one.
Yeah, those and the round one as well. They all have that kind of almond V-shaped vibe, which I like that's a consistent thing here. I like the color. I like the way the colors are used here. The red shows up consistently, these reds and these oranges. And I personally feel like, for different reasons though, that the bottom two don't fit in this collection. Observing Fishes Swim and Evening Sky, Sun, and Mountain.
I think those were my least favorite in the collection, actually.
Well, and let me say why too. The Evening Sky, Sun, and Mountains, while it's beautiful, it's way more angular. It doesn't have the sweeping curved lines. The brush textures are really different. It doesn't look like it belongs with these other pieces. And to that, I would almost, and I think that the Fishes Swim one has a watercolor vibe. I don't know if that fits here at all. But see, the hard part is you picked out Annika, the turquoise with the flame, like the sun, like the compass rings. And to me, I feel like that one also fit. And it's because it's too geometric. It feels less, I don't know I'm not a painter, so I don't know what the terminology here is, but like the big chunky sweeping kinds of strokes, this one doesn't have that. And so it kind of...
The fitting ones is maybe like the first one, this third one, this one here.
Yeah, and that's weird because
they're all squares kind of.
It's almost like if it's too created, if it's too geometric, it almost doesn't work for me. And the weird part is the one that has the white face with the large eye, open-eyed look. For some reason, that one still works for me.
This one?
No, I like that one a lot.
Me too. Yeah. Oh, this one.
Open-eyed. Yeah, I really like this one, and even though it doesn't have the same exact kind of strokes, even though it's way more detailed and fine-tuned, it still works with the other kind of odd, abstract, chunky line work. It still works. So, my guess is, and I'm like I said, I'm trying to appeal to a different kind of collector. So I don't know your collector that well. I'll say that right up front. But if you're trying to tell the story, and you need to have a consistent story that you want to tell, and I like the overall artist statement here on the collection, and I think you need to lean into that and maybe tighten up the collection a little bit. And I'm guessing if you've made all these, you probably have a lot more too. And so to think about how do these individual pieces fit into that overall statement, and do they all vibe together? You know, because we pointed out a couple that maybe don't, like I don't think that the fish one even fits the description of the collection. Like even the description of the fish one.
You see this one here.
Yeah.
Oh, of the of the entire collection as a whole. Yeah.
Uncertainty is not a tame songbird is what the collection's called.
Yeah.
And I just don't see how even the description or this piece of work fits in this collection.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it makes me scratch my head.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not good work. I'm just saying maybe it doesn't fit here.
Yeah. You also understand we're both photographers too, right? So when I went to school for photography, we didn't talk that much about other art genres and respects. I mean, although, you know, we have our own mind and perspective, there might be digital painters and stuff like that that can talk about this work in a much greater fashion than we even can, and can point out things that are more amateur in one regard and
Sure.
more, you know, more expert in another. So I mean, you got to take what we're saying as, you know, just people that are looking at art and examining art and our own feelings, and you know, try to give you as tough as a critique as I could for my own, you know, my own knowledge and my own feelings in this type of art genre. So, but there's definitely some beautiful work here for sure.
If I can give one last piece of advice, it's that as a artist, you're literally creating the whole thing. You're not taking a picture of somebody else's thing. You're not finding something in nature. You're not posing anybody. You're literally creating from nothing. And my advice would be, lean into the thing that looks like, if somebody sees this piece, they should be able to immediately go, oh yeah, that's Blue Flux.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I would lean into closely. And I feel like there's 3 or 4 here that really have a consistent look. And that's where I would go with it.
Yeah. And, you know, paint the ones that you want to paint more than anything. I would say it's the same thing that photographers like. Don't think now just because that there's this NFT land that when you go out and take your photographs, you should be thinking like, oh, would this sell as an NFT or would this sell as a painting? I mean, I would go out and shoot how you want to shoot and paint how you want to paint from your feelings, because if you don't feel it yourself, it's going to be a very hard time for others to feel it. But this is this is great. This is great work, and this is why I picked it. And I think that, you know, I'd love to hear from the artist afterwards. I know the artist is not here. Blue Flux, I think it's a female. I don't want to say after they, you know.
But reach out, once the replay
please reach
happens,
out.
And I will say this every time somebody reaches out after the replays and mentions what they got from this, it's always helpful. Because we're just who we are. And I'm going to be straight up as well. If you go look at my work, you might go, man, that guy's so less work than I have. Well, you might be right. And my goal is to be better at critiquing my own work in some ways by figuring out how to talk about it and talking about yours and helping you see stuff. Sometimes we can see in other people's work what we can't see in ours. So it's a great exercise for both Mike and I to have a chance to do this. And
yeah, it's not easy to talk about.
Yeah. We're learning as we do this. So appreciate the grace as well, as I know some of you are listening and you might go, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But we're trying from a good place. So give us that much at least.
We're doing our best. Anyway, we'll go on to the next person. It's Galaxy's tweet, and the series is Solitude is Peace. Do they have a specific question there?
Yeah. My questions are, if the collection is good enough or not. Do I need to make any adjustments? Do I need I need some honest feedback for it, and will be very much helpful and very much appreciated. Thanks.
Sure. Yeah, I've got it. I looked through it. I saw a theme of a lot of images that were very similar. Man looking out, 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 man looking out. You see where I'm going? So I kind of called some of these down my own sort of way. You know, I came up with this, which I think is a much tighter and ones that stood out more to me. I think this might be my favorite. This is the first one.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And as far as the one with man, I actually enjoyed the one where he wasn't looking out and kind of walking across this ice patch here. I think the red really stands out in this one, and it's really beautiful. The white, I love the detail in this landscape shot too. And some of these ones with the where you have this light, what's this called again? The light rays.
Lens flare.
Yeah, lens flare. I don't know. I try to put my own finger over it, and I think this image works better without it. There's a few of them where I feel like I think it works better without it.
Yeah, lens flare is one of those funky ones that's you kind of like. I get it the same. I've had some where I've intentionally put it in the frame, or I've tried to get lens flare, and I have other ones where I've tried desperately to get rid of it. So I don't know that there's a
So specifically this one. This one's too much for me. Right.
I agree.
So
yeah, I agree.
Like this reminds me of like when I'm having a hard time getting that iPhone shot that I want, because the iPhone is just like putting a lens flare somewhere, and I have to keep turning the phone until I don't have it, and I have to wind up, taking it out after. So this is why. I mean, this image to me is not nearly as strong as like this one, which I think is trying to speak a similar thing. So
well, and I think that the other one with the dunes, really is one where I think the flare does work. Okay. No, the other one with the footprints.
Yeah, the footprints one. Let's see. That's the one that I liked because it's directional. Like he's looking in that direction, and it sort of worked for me. It looks cinematic because it's coming from here and behind. It makes more sense, and I think this is one of the better ones as well, where it's sort of looking out with the dunes. So it's just too many. Go ahead.
If I could give some technical feedback on this particular photo, while the lens flare does work, I think this particular image would benefit quite a bit from using the defringe slider in Lightroom or whichever app you're using.
Is it dehaze or defringe?
No. It's the one where it's defringing, and what's happening is that on the edges of, like, look in the area on the right hand side of the frame where the dark and light meet. No, the bottom.
I see it. It makes a purplish color. Yes.
Yeah. So that is very likely it's purple fringing, and you can get rid of that in the profile section, like in Lightroom. Or you can also target that area, and you can pull purples out. There's a little too much magenta and purple in the left-hand side too.
I just think I'm glad you pointed that out.
Well, it's a little detail, but I think this is a good photo. But I wonder if two things: if you've got a little too much saturation pumped up in this one, because I'm noticing the white in the pants it has a little bit of a pink tinge to it.
The hat is too pink for me.
Yeah, and this is minor adjustments, but there's a lot of pink in the entire clothing, and I think that if you pulled back a little bit, it would be a little more subtle. Even the shadow has some pink in it.
Well, look at the footprints, like the footprints towards the first edge of the frame. The second footprint, very, very purple and stuff. So I think, some color temperature and defringing.
Yeah. But I think it's a really compelling and interesting photo.
Absolutely. I don't think some people realize like how much color temperature could really change an image from going from like good to great, or from great to exceptional, just by making the color temperature correct.
So I have another piece of feedback. Just looking at the overall, actually, you picked out ones you liked. I would kind of lean in here a little bit, and when you talk about the idea of solitude, I look at these, and my gut is that I'm going to put them in order. I'm guessing oldest will probably do it. It did. Okay. So I put them in order, and what I would probably do is this is my personal thing. I would yank number 4. Yeah, there you go. Number 4 to me.
4 wasn't included in
fit. Yeah, 4 doesn't fit. I think
5's a little cliche. 5's a little too cliche to me.
It's a little cliche.
It's really nice, but then there's that moon above too, and it feels composited. Maybe it's moon. I don't know. But there's some. It's a beautiful image. It is. It's hard for me, I guess.
Number 8, same thing you said. I think that it's just not the same quality as the rest of them.
Nope. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I think I probably would pull number 10 as well. And maybe number 9. Number 10, the reason why, there's no person in the photo. And every other photo has a person.
Except number 4, yeah.
Yep. That's why I pulled 4 as well. 4 doesn't fit because there's no people, and number 10 doesn't fit because there's no people.
Does a bird not count? I really like that image too, though. I'll say that. I really like that one.
I think that's fair. I like it too, but I think for the selection, I probably pull it. The other one that is a little bit iffy to me is I feel like I really like number 6, and you pointed out how nice it was to have all that great contrast and texture. Number 9, to me, and I think I mentioned this the last time we did this. Number 9 feels like you've chosen the wrong focal. It feels like we're too close, and
he's too. The body is too elongated, like right, stretched.
Yes,
in a sense. I feel that way too.
It doesn't work with like they either need to be further away from you, or they need to be more in the center of the frame. But it feels too elongated. The person, every other image here, the person is off in the distance. They're further away, and this one looks out of place because the person's too close to the camera.
It takes away from the solitude feel of it, because you could feel the person on them, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and also it's the same person and the same mountains, right? I mean, it kind of looks really similar to number 6.
Yeah,
not the same mountains, but something about it just doesn't vibe for me.
Yeah, this shot's fantastic.
I agree.
Yeah. It's kind of nostalgic to me of like like some video game where I don't know, the princess is trying to get out the castle or something. I don't know. Yeah. It's great though. Yeah. The geometry.
I like it a lot. So I think our artist is in the room here with us, right? On this one.
Ooh, that'll be good. Galaxy Photo? Is that? Well, the artist is unmuted, so if they want to talk.
Hey, Galaxy, are you there? You want to? Okay, well, we're maybe he's muted. He or she is muted. Specific questions, I think we've kind of already answered. Making some adjustments. I think that we've already kind of talked about some possibilities for adjusting. And some, just kind of technical critiques of some things you can do different, make it a little stronger.
Once you pull that together and have something like maybe a series of 5 or 6 instead of 10, I think we could have something strong. But there's 2 owners though, so 2 of these can't go, and it's this one. That's
we already love that.
One, I'm sorry. So we already love that one, so that's good. And then there's this one too. Okay.
Which And so cool. It's here. It gets to stay.
Yeah. What did it sell for? It sold for 0.1. Okay. And they raised your floor value, so that's good.
I love it.
I love it.
Nothing better than
all right,
seeing
cool.
sales.
Absolutely. Congrats on that. I think we can move on to the next person then.
We got 2 left, it looks like.
Yeah, I think this gentleman's here, unless he went to bed by now. I know he was late where he's at. Yeah, he might have said, wow, they're not getting to me. Or we are. This is Nassif Gafour. And what do you have specific questions? I know we want to talk about the Ugly Duckling series.
So he said, thanks for doing this. I'd love to get feedback on this conceptual product photography series. The Ugly Duckling is a 3 conceptual fine art food photography series inspired by the famous story by Christian Andersen.
Do you know the story by Hans Christian Andersen? Because I don't.
You know, I don't really know. I mean, obviously, Ugly Duckling. Just that the Ugly Duckling is actually not a duckling, but a goose.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I remember that from being a kid.
It's kind of a homely looking duck next to all the little cute ducks, and then it ends up being this is beautiful. It's a beautiful goose.
It's unique.
Maybe it's a swan.
I read the famous story. Yeah,
it might be a swan actually. Now that I think
about it might be a swan at the end. It's only a matter of time before it leads. Everyone is unique in their own way. Only a matter of time before it leads us to our destiny. Some people might follow the mass. That doesn't mean they're wrong. It's just a matter of perspective, story plus behind the scenes. So, I mean, I can't set up product photography like this. I mean, clearly this gentleman has a lot of experience in setting it up. I love this shot with the open egg in the middle. It really brings that focal point to that orange. It's absolutely beautiful. I love it. I mean, the little piece of little nest up here with the 3 different colored eggs, and this ladle holding the mini ones, and the wood boards that are a different color from the backwood. This is absolutely beautiful photography and still life. I really love it. I don't know how to give feedback to something that's this well executed, or constructive feedback at least. But
so, and I guess I do have a little more feedback because I do product photography.
Oh, you do? So let's hear it then.
Yeah, I mean, and now of course there we go. So this is really, really beautiful work, and I just pulled up the 3rd one, which is the chocolate. And it's,
oof, love the colors.
There's some really amazing things happening. I think, first of all, the stuff that works. When you're doing this top-down kind of product photography, notice how it's not symmetrical, and notice how the tablecloth or apron is that beautiful aqua color is kind of coming in from the side of the frame, and so is the piece of wood with the 2 pieces on it, and the spoons. See how the handles go on the side?
It's almost like he wants it to feel like it's been touched and eaten and moved around.
This is a classic kind of thing that when you're doing product photography, you're not supposed to have things be completely. Things should be coming in from the edge of the frame. That makes it feel like it's a little more casual, like it's not quite as staged. Like, oh no, look, we captured this little. There's this little thing peeking into the frame that. What you might think, okay, if you're going to shoot this for Amazon, make sure that it was isolated and there was nothing that shouldn't be there. This lets you know that no, we're in the middle of preparing something, and it feels more natural. Now, you and I both, after we've talked about it now, that it's not natural. It's very specific.
Yeah.
But I love it. I also think that there's a consistency to the lighting, especially in this chocolate piece, that it doesn't feel like you probably can't. I don't see a very specific directional light except for the little catch light on the sides of the chocolate beans, or the coffee beans, or whatever they are.
Yeah, which is like somewhat in the spoon. Yeah.
Yeah. But it looks like
obviously the lights from above, or like up and to the right, like a window. Yeah.
See, I think it's actually kind of off and to the left.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're actually right, because you could see how it's directionally coming and hitting the nuts and stuff like that.
It feels like window light, and
Yeah.
I like that because it doesn't feel artificial. I think if you go look at the egg one, the light is coming from the same direction, but notice that you don't have really harsh reflections on any of the egg. And you don't have really and you only have a little bit of a harsh shadow right on the edge of one of the planks, but it's still kind of soft.
Yeah, and the highlights are perfect on that one white egg. It's not overexposed or anything. It's just perfect.
Notice there's a couple of eggs kind of keep creeping in from the side of the frame.
Bottom right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's on purpose. And here's one of the things I think is great. When I see this photo, I'm imagining it's in a barn and there's an open door or an open window off to the left-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not thinking that there's a strobe off to the side.
No, I don't think this. I don't get artificial light from this at all. Any of this.
Yeah, the quality of light is very, very soft. Mm-hmm. And then if you look at the macaroon,
that's what I'm opening now. Yeah,
the macaroons, I really like it, except I feel like the light feels a little too artificial in this one.
Yeah, this one was what we're going to say. I don't know necessarily that this is window light. It feels a little different from the other two. I think this is the least strong piece, although I do think it's still a strong piece.
Yeah. And here's my thing. I shoot a lot of product photography with things that are reflective. Whenever you put something that's reflective in the frame, you're like, oh man, now you got to start moving crap around and figuring out how do you not end up with reflections from the light? How do you, So I will just tell you right off the bat, I feel you on this one. We've got a red tint happening all along the whole left-hand side of the tray, on the red macaroon. We've got these strong shadows happening on the macaroons. And I think my gut on this one is, if you were to figure out a way to get the light, either make the light softer or have it be more directly overhead, I think you'd end up with a little bit stronger image with less reflections and less shadows.
Yeah. That's some great feedback on that one.
Yeah, and I say that saying that you could easily spend an hour or an hour and a half trying to get the light perfect on them and end up with something that still isn't much better. Like, I don't want to say that like I could do it better. I'm saying that's what if I took this image, that's what I would be doing. I'd be trying to figure out like, is there a way to get rid of some of that red cast that's coming off the one macaroon. But man, it's beautiful. And the other thing, one other thing, I would almost think that the other two, everything's positioned kind of diagonally, and this one, everything's straight up and down. The tray is, and I would think it might work better diagonally to fit in the series.
Mm-hmm.
But that's getting technical, and
it's interesting to see who collects as an NFT still life food photography, because it's a new one for me.
The egg one's by far my favorite of these.
Oh yeah, the chocolate would be the second.
Yeah, I agree. The macaroons is interesting, but it's not quite as interesting to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say the chocolate's a close second. I think the egg one is just that superior. I do think the chocolate one is really good, though. I think the color relationships are really good. I think how he cracked the chocolate pieces to actually feel like there was kind of people feasting on it. Is really well done. So I don't have any other feedback on this set.
I do have one more thing. I would, there's a this kind of work is really if I had to give one more piece of feedback, it would be great to see you pull the shadows up a little. I've got a
chocolate one. On the chocolate one, right?
Yeah, the chocolate and the eggs too. I don't want the overall exposure up, but I think that if you were to pull the shadows up just a little bit, I think that you'd get a little more detail all the way around. It feels like it's a little dark for my taste, and especially on the chocolate one, the textures are kind of lost on that background, and as much and even the wood on the egg one, the wood, you could get a little more texture out of that wood. You brought up the shadows a little,
and the ladle and the eggs that are laying in the ladle.
See, the ladle, I barely can see the ladle.
Yeah, I'm saying I want to see the ladle more, and I want to see the eggs that are in the ladle a little bit more as well, and even maybe a little more of these eggs that are on the wood, these small white eggs.
I'd maybe even just spot,
Yeah, I would spot. I would spot. Yeah, I would spot treat it with bringing up the shadows, maybe rather than shadowing up the image globally, and see what you can do in areas where it's needed.
Let me. I'm going to give one more piece of advice. There's a photographer that's based here in Portland, Oregon area. Her name is Ava Cosmos Flores, and if you're not familiar with her work, she does work that's very similar to this, and and she actually does do mostly natural light. But I would look her up if you can. It's EVA Cosmos, KOSMOS FLORES. She does her entire body work is similar to this. Worth looking her up. You can probably steal a lot of ideas from watching how she does that.
Well, that's a great info, Dan.
Yeah, I'm nowhere near as good at this natural light types, but I admire it because even just setting it up, there's a lot of great styling happening. When you're doing product photography, like the styling is a very large part of the skill set. You've done a fantastic job with the styling.
Absolutely, I agree.
So we got one more.
Yeah, so maybe we'll hit 2.5 hours. It's better. The last time was 3. So, and then this last one is this is Wildfire Gallery by Alpine Lifer, and I'm going to read the artist statement because it's important to the work. The work is actually very fairly priced too. So the 2021 wildfire season was the third worst on record, but in terms of impact on a small local region, it was incredibly devastating. The season really took off after BC and the Pacific Northwest was locked in the heat dome, a highly unusual high-pressure system that locked over the region and allowed temperatures to soar. Dozens of temperature records fell. Day after day, new records were set, beating the one set previous day. Places that commonly see temperatures reach lower 40s Celsius were now seeing daily temperatures in the upper 40s. Finally, Lighton, BC reached a scorching temperature of 49.6 degrees Celsius. What's 49 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit?
You're asking the wrong guy. I live in Oregon.
Okay, it's I'm guessing it's hundreds. Someone here knows. It's hot, guys. Setting an all-time record breaking the previous one by 2 degrees. The following day, a wildfire was sparked on the edge of the community, and within minutes, the entire community was destroyed by fire. People were forced to flee the fire, leaving everything behind. Yeah. And I like how he did the animated GIF. Maybe a little bit too fast for me, but I like the animated GIFs that people do for their series. And so this is the series here. So if you look at it's a combination.
Just a pause, Mike. It's 121 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, very hot. Okay, that's very hot.
To give you some perspective, that's like nearing Death Valley record summertime heat wave. That's crazy.
So right off the bat, looking at this, there's some of these that are actually video. There's 2 videos, this one and this one here. And the first thing that I noticed, the first thing I really noticed was I think these really striking images, the ones that are actually dropping the what is this dropping? It's an extinguisher,
fire retardant.
Yeah, this extinguisher, and this red flame image. But then there's a lot of ones that are very similar or not as strong. I grabbed the ones, I grabbed a few that I thought were really strong. I'll start with this one actually. I really love this shot. If we're going to pick one of the flying and plane ones, this one here with the extinguisher, which I think we really need, and I love the contrast of.
Oh, did you read the? It says air tractor number 90 approaches Okanagan Lake. These aircraft scanning refill their tanks to make drops, and then they repeat these every 7 or 8 minutes for almost 3 hours before losing daylight and fuel.
Wild. I'm wondering when looking at this image, though, if it could benefit from maybe a little bit of dehaze. Like maybe it's a little bit hazy and a little contrast could pop this image a bit, but I'm not sure. I'd have to see and do it myself, though. Although I really do like it as is as well. And there's this one. You think? Good.
I like it as is.
You like it as is? Yeah, that's great. It's just when you go from this sharpness to this, it's like a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is beautiful too. Well,
I think if I were going to get picky, I think I think that one's great. I think that the one with the retardant drop, I would probably kill the second one and just keep the first one.
Yeah, this is why I have the series. Like I really like this one as well. This is great. I had the series sort of like this. This is excluding the videos. Like I don't think the series needs to be as many images as it is. I think it could speak with just that many. Because like these, that's a pretty cool image heading home. I don't know. Let's see. And this one, I definitely don't think is as strong as some of the other close-up plane shots here. Right. It feels kind of flat. It feels out of focus. The trees and stuff back here, they don't have this like richness to them. Some of the other ones do.
Ultimately, picking one of those kinds of planes, the smaller planes.
Well, this one's sold, so it would have to be this one.
yeah, that's a good one.
This one's sold, so.
I think I actually, and one of the videos, the one that has the planes flying in over the trees, I actually kind of like that. I think that could be an interesting one to keep.
You know, I would keep the videos too. Like I like the videos.
No, these are great, and I think it's just great storytelling. I think if anything, you just have to work out like what's necessary to tell the story. And I think you're right. Like I think formation flying in the heart of a city, I think is one of the weaker images. Heading home, I think feels a little, to me, it's just not that interesting.
Not good enough
for
that.
I understand that it's narrative, but I don't. We've already seen the.
I think this is the one that has to be dropped as far as the two of the.
Yeah. The other one is just way more compelling.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. I do like the fire in this one, but yeah.
Yeah. And then also the other one is Coldwater Creek Wildfire. It's the aspect ratio is it's a wider image, and it just doesn't really work for me.
Yeah, I mean, it works. I mean, well, what if it's cropped? Like what if it's we could still crop this image?
Might be possible, and also maybe it's already cropped.
I think someone was trying to talk there. Is the artist here or no? No. I thought I heard someone who was talking.
I don't think so.
No, I think this is a great series, and I think interesting. I love the narrative aspect. I think you could trim back from 11 to more like 8, maybe.
Yeah, and do we have? And let's write in here that these images are one. Descriptions have that. The main description doesn't have that. So, are you creating multiple of these images, or this one says drop one of one right here? Oh, that's the first drop, but that's not saying that the image is one of them. So, right. I think the collectors probably want to know that these images are one.
Yeah.
So I'd go with that. I think they're very fairly priced. I mean, this was called down, and I had the ETH. I'd pick up. I'd probably pick up This one right here.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. But that's
pretty cool.
That's all after that. It's really good.
Yeah, I agree.
That about wraps it up at about 2.5 hours. So.
Yeah, I think this was a good session. I like the art. I like our format here. Love that people are asking specific questions, especially people are saying, "Hey, don't hold back." You know, like that's great.
Yeah, I mean, if you want the best critique, it's probably the most honest critique. I mean, I try to always be as honest as possible. But if somebody tells me that, give me ruthless critique, like I'll say something like I did before, like this makes me feel like this is a artificial intelligence generated image. It sort of looks and feels that way, and it turns me off. And that might not be something that I fully mention if you didn't ask for that, because I mean, that might hurt your own, series if someone's,
Right.
But the courage of you asking for it, I think it's smart.
I agree.
I always want, yeah.
I agree. And it's, Mike, I can share with everybody else here that I came to you after the last one. I was like, hey, Mike, you want feedback? And it's because I think you need to be open to that if you want to get better at what you're doing.
Yeah. And I was totally honest with you on the feedback, and fantastic landscape photographer, and you're still working on the portrait side, and you know what you have to pull and what you got to do. And like you say, humility in the space, understanding what your strengths are, what your weaknesses on, double down on your strengths and double down on your weaknesses, right?
Exactly. Well, good. Well, we've hit 2.5 hours. I got a jet.
Yeah, I got it too. I got to eat food. I've been studying artists for the last 5 hours. But love to have you guys here. Love to see that there's still people in here at this 2.5 hour mark. And, I know I appreciate you, Goon, for getting out these replays so that people can watch them. It looks like there's a lot of views on these on YouTube afterwards, which really makes me happy that people are actually sitting and listening through all this, which means, we're providing some valuable information for people. We're seeing artists sell work in their series after they call down the images. And, any artist that needs help with their artist statement that has a language barrier, please reach out to me. I will take the time to help you. I am busy, but I will come around to it and help you with that. And thanks, MetaGirl, for allowing us to have this space, and for, doing all that you do for Web3 community. Geez.
It's been fun.
Thank you guys for taking the time. It was great today, and we always appreciate your feedback and submissions. And thank you to the artists too, because it is great that you're willing to go ahead and open up and accept some feedback, and we can all learn from it together. So we appreciate it very much.
And MetaGirl, thanks for rescheduling around Mike and I both getting sick.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Glad you guys will feel better.
Yeah, for sure.
The artists here are not the only ones that are learning from this. Me and Dan are learning from doing this as well. We get something out of this. So it's not just you guys, especially having to talk about some of the digital work today that we're not so familiar with. It's a challenge, and we appreciate the challenge. And we're here for you guys. Hit us up if you need us, and hope to see you guys at the next one.